My name is Mark. This is Zen Talk, and we're talking about Evangelical Zen. All right, so spreading the good news. So to say Zen or Buddhism is not evangelical, which means spreading the good news, is incorrect. Number one, the Buddhas taught to spread the good news. You can read this in the Buddhist canon. He was all about spreading the word and recruiting people to his cause and teaching them what he knew. And Japanese Zen sends missions to all the southern Asian countries. I had a dear friend of mine who was sent to the Philippines as a Zen monk because he actually trained in the Japanese Soto Zen schools and was sent to the Philippines to run a mission there. And unfortunately, he caught meningitis and died. So, yes, they're all of Buddhism is evangelical. The Chinese Buddhist canon is much about spreading the word of Buddha, and groups like the SGI, which is the Soka Gakki International, constantly passes out flyers and pamphlets all the time. See this in more of the larger cities. So here's a book that describes all about the way that Buddhism is proselytized in the evangelical of Buddhism, and this is a picture of one of the pamphlets that SGI passes out. All right, so when I first came to Zen, I was told we don't proselytize. And then they don't chase after people who may come to the center but they never return, and that was puzzling. You know, it's like, well, if you're a church and you're not out there actually to find, people to join your church, then how do you expect to grow, survive, do anything? So later I found that this was not a view shared with Buddhism at large, nor especially with Japanese Zen, the Soto and Rinzai, which is very evangelical. And because they did send out missions to other countries and proselytize and follow with people who express interest. So the conclusion they came to was most of the Zen centers was basically wanting to be a small club. Some people, I've actually even heard this when back in the 80s when I was attending the Zen centers, that all they wanted to do was be just a Zen book reading club and talk about Buddhism and drink tea. All right, so those who claim to be Zen students take this vow. However innumerable beings are, I vow to say them all. Actually, when you look at all the great vows and read the actual teachings of the Buddha and study the very history of Zen Buddhism, we find it is extremely evangelical religion. So when you take these vows, which everybody eventually does if they stick around long enough in Zen Buddhism, you're going to ask yourself two questions, which is, how am I going to save all the beings when we're not even talking about Zen or Buddhism to nobody? So this becomes a bit of a conundrum. All right, so what happened? Why did this all stop? So why are we not evangelical, even in the slightest bit? So I would say number one, it's the Christian rejects. And these are people that have had bad experiences with Christianity, or they've had bad experience with Christian people. And the Zen Center members just want to be a small, private, exclusive club. They just want it to themselves. They don't want outsiders in their club. Okay, fair enough, but this is not necessarily what a Zen Center is about. Social stigma. The public at large sees Buddhism and Zen in general as a foreign cultural experiment. They don't connect with it. They don't connect with what the Zen Center is or what the Zen Center style is. Maybe they're being seen as a clown, out of touch in a foreign culture that nobody understands. And I have seen this sort of clown-like appearance. Especially when sometimes the Tibetans feel this way. I'll never forget when there was a parade and some Tibetan monks were there. They were going to go do something on a float, and somebody dressed up in a Ronald McDonald's clown outfit came over and started hanging out with them because they were dressed in the same colors, the yellow and the gold and kind of stuff like that. So there was a bit of a being seen as a clown aspect to a lot of what people were doing, because they were just in a foreign culture that was so out of touch and that nobody understood what it was about. So some people are also shy. They get embarrassed about talking about Zen because they know that most people, maybe when they think of Zen, they think of Kung Fu, or they think of something really, really foreign and really Asian, and they also don't want to be confronted about this issue. And there's also the fact that a lot of people don't even understand what Zen and Buddhism is. They're just more running to the culture because it's not Christian. And again, many just want a small Zen book reading club and tea time chats, which, you can certainly be that at a Zen center, but you could also do that at the library as well with your friends. So it sort of defeats the point to form a Zen center, pour tons of money into buildings and meditation halls, and yet do no recruiting. So all of the above is what I have heard from Zen teachers and students as to why they don't talk about Zen and Buddhism, as to encourage others to come and see, because this bottom line here, the come and see, was more or less what the Buddha would tell people about his teachings, which is come and see for yourself. You don't just have to believe me, you can actually know. So I do need to talk about the Japanese culture here. So Japanese cultural religion is not our culture. The biggest hurdle I see is that the Japanese cultural religion that is directly imported into the Western Zen centers, that is definitely cultural appropriation, is simply too foreign for most people to want to deal with. Now, I think this may be done on purpose, which is to keep things small and controllable by the insecure and the weak-minded people. I mean, think about that for a bit. When you keep things too bizarre, too foreign, too esoteric, when you keep things too cryptic, it is done on purpose to keep things small and controllable by insincere and weak-minded people. Because if they were the other way, if they were strong and very secure in their belief, they wouldn't be keeping it cryptic and bizarre and foreign and out of touch. Oh no. All right, Jiyu Kennett. Well, she's actually my Dharma grandmother and my inspiration. She's an English woman by birth, trained in China and then Japan, and she wanted to westernize Zen. She turned the chanting into singing, she redesigned the robes to Western clergy outfits, and she did a lot to establish priories and outreach centers to spread the good news. And that's her picture right there. And that's the Koho Chisen, my Dharma great-grandfather. So Zen is not a Japanese religion. You should know by now, if you are watching my videos, that Zen is not a Japanese religion. It is a methodology of soul purification. Buddhism is not an Asian cultural religion either, whereas it is a philosophy with deep roots going all the way back to Plotinus, a Greek philosopher. In short, Buddhism is a universal teaching, as is Zen as a universal methodology. The only reason, then, why we are clinging to cultural forms is because we don't understand Zen or Buddhism. That is why I am here to correct that. So, we have to come up with a new way forward. We have to bring Buddhism, which is an ontology of soul liberation based in wisdom, to all sentient beings. If you believe in Buddhism and know the Zen path, you know I am right. To do this, we have to be accepted by the culture we are in, and not be seen as foreign or as clowns or as freaks. To this end, I have some changes we must make. We need to dress to the culture. Here's some pictures of what our culture clergy look like. And I know some people are probably freaking out right now by seeing these pictures, but I'm going to tell you something, that I have actually met Buddhist monks and priests dressed like these two ladies are. And in fact, I've met two ladies that were Buddhist priests that dressed exactly like these people here. And they were in their own community spreading the good news about Buddha because that's what they believed, and they were not connected with anybody. They were just so filled with the spirit and the good news of Buddha that they went out and did this themselves. And boy, they were inspiring. So reach into your own communities and connect. You connect by looking the part. You connect by what they know. This doesn't say Christian. This doesn't say Catholic. This doesn't say Protestant. This basically says spiritual religion. This is a indicator of who you are, not what you are. It's an indicator that you're there to teach them something. People don't care if it's Jesus or Muhammad. You dress like this because this is what you are. You're saying to them, I am here to help you save your soul. I am here to help you lead a better life, to live in peace. Many things. So this is what this is. And I'm sorry that many people who gotten into bad Christian religion or had bad experiences cringe when they see these pictures. But they got to get over it, especially if we really believe that we are here to save all sentient beings. All right, we need to minister to the culture. These are actual images of Buddhist churches. They got pews, not pillows. Look at this. These are, pews. This is the dais area upon a stage. Again, these are pews, and these are actual pictures of Buddhist churches. And I believe this is a black Buddhist church that I know about. Look at this, pews. Look at this. Look at this. This is Buddhist churches. These aren't Christian churches. These are Buddhist churches. All right. So some conclusions. It is well past time to retire the Japanese cultural appropriation. We need, as Zen believers, to bring our message of soul healing and the path of liberation to our own culture in a way that is acceptable and helpful. All right. Thank you very much. And please remember to like and subscribe.